Hi guys. I am so excited to have you each on the board again for Little School this year. I wanted to highlight a few things before we get started with our school year. I didn't think it was quite enough to mandate an in-person meeting, especially as schedules were just getting a little hard to line up for everyone. So I'm just sending this email in this video, and I hope that is informative. And if you guys have any questions or comments about any of the things we kind of go over or that's on your email, feel free to call me, email me, text me. I'd love to hear from each of you. First of all, I just listed our board members in case you've forgotten. I appreciate each one of you and the things you bring to the table from your different roles. I also listed some new teacher aides and some new substitute teachers for your approval. I think these ladies will be really super quality additions to our staff, but I always like to mention those to the board just in case there's any concern with anyone. Then I typed a bit about those of us who are benefiting from the Teach scholarships. Myself, I'm in the final leg of the master's program at Ball State. I'll graduate in December with my master's in early childhood education with a focus in early childhood administration. I'm super excited for the learning that I've had, but also just to be finishing that up. Rachel Cox is continuing with her associate's degree through Ivy Tech. She takes some classes in person and some online. And Alex Hughes is continuing through the online Ball State bachelor's program for early childhood education. Both of them in the undergraduate degree programs with the Teach scholarships, their contracts specify that they are entitled to release time. That's paid time that they can be away from their jobs to focus on their schooling and on their classes. I mention this just because it does affect our little school budget. The Teach scholarship pays a portion of that release time, but we as the sponsoring program are responsible for covering some of that release time as well. Finally, I mentioned the possibility of looking into some supplemental benefit options for staff members. AFLAC has contacted me a couple times wanting to tell me about their products. They were telling me that they have some things like short-term disability or different kinds of benefits that they offer to small businesses at no cost to the business. So I'm exploring that option. I think that might be a really great benefit for our staff. This year, as I was looking to hire new staff, it was difficult. It was the most difficult I've had at that since I have been director 10 years now. So I just want to be able to offer as much as I can to our staff members in the way of wages and in the way of benefits. I know that a lot of families are needing more full-time work and employment and things like that. And so we're not the best fit for all families and all people, but I would love to be a fit for some really great quality people. So as I look toward the budget and just what we can do, that's always at the forefront of my mind. So with that, I want to turn our attention to the budget. I want to look at how last year ended first, and then kind of move over to what I was thinking for this year. Okay, so I have attached some files to your email. One says actual budget, and that is a copy of this page that you have the blue strip and the pink strip. So I wanted to bring your attention to a couple things on here. Basically up here at the top is where we account for how much money is brought into the little school budget. This is coming from tuition primarily, some supply registration fee. But you'll see that there is a difference. We actually brought in just over $219,000, where we had expected to bring in almost $175,000. So that's a difference, quite a difference of about $44,000. I would say the vast majority of that comes from voucher money. Students who are who participate in On My Way Pre-K or CCDF, the state pays us to have those students here more than we charge in private tuition. So we end up gaining more funds when we have the students who are on the voucher programs. In addition, I kind of always budget for a little bit of student attrition for students who move away or for whatever reason stop coming to little school. But we were able to keep our classes fairly full last year, so that is always a benefit when it comes to how much money is brought in to our budget. Another thing is that when I spoke about that release time with the Teach scholarships, when we get those reimbursement checks, I think for the most part that James just applies that to our cash inflow, which is accurate, is money coming in, but really the money that goes out for that comes out of staff wages. So that accounts for a little bit of the difference, whereas that money should have been applied to the wages, it's really applied to the cash in, but that's okay. You'll also notice down here at the bottom, this is the difference in cash out, what actually happened and what we had budgeted for. And you can see the difference in the categories, what we actually did, the totals, and then what had been budgeted for at the beginning of the year. You'll also notice that we spent over $8,000 more than we had expected. Some of that is from wages. Some of that is just from expenses. This down here, the staff recognition, the difference here is quite large. The reason for that is I have changed how I account for Christmas bonuses for the staff. Instead of taking it out of wages, instead of taking it out of staff recognition, I take it out of wages now, but that was not applied correctly because I've always taken it out of staff recognition. So it looks like I spent more in staff recognition, but that money really should have been taken out of the wages category, which of course would put wages over, but some of that would be the difference in paying the release time for the Teach scholarship, for their time to be released to pay attention to their classes. I did not know that the release time needed to be budgeted for because both Rachel and Alex began their Teach scholarships after last school year began. So I had not budgeted for that, but we are definitely budgeting for that this year. So overall, yes, we brought in quite a bit more money than we used. So that's really great, about $35,000 more total, which is fantastic. Again, I would really like to see the cash out also be more balanced. That is always my goal, to be able to budget for what we are spending both ways. So, taking into account what our budget ended up with last year, I have formulated this budget for the coming school year starting this August. And you'll notice these numbers are pretty small. You might see this better if you open up your file, but over here I write how many expected students we have in different tuition categories. And that is calculated here, telling us the total amount that we should expect in tuition coming in. Down here, we have the wages per type of staff member, and then the different categories for like what we will spend on classroom supplies and things like that. So this year I did budget for Alex and Rachel's release time for the Teach scholarships, so I am hoping that will be reflected. I did not budget for vouchers that we might have that would actually bring in more tuition money than we would expect otherwise. Part of that is because vouchers are somewhat unpredictable. Children might not remain on a voucher throughout the school year. They might move. Some kids don't even apply for the voucher until I've already made the budget, things like that. However, if you notice here, I'm assuming we will bring in $217,000 and I'm assuming we will spend $221,000. That's not very balanced. I usually have those numbers very, very close in number, or a little bit more brought in than going out. That's actually about $4,000 difference. I got that approved by James, but what I told him is I wanted to use some of this past school year's surplus to put towards next year's budget. So I realize it's not balanced, but seeing as we had a surplus, I thought that would be something that we could do with that. You'll also notice that the wages over here increased a little bit from last year, or you might notice that. Again, I struggled to find staff members this school year to replace the ones that we had lost. Some of that may be because our pay is not as high as they could make in other jobs. So I did increase the wages for all of the staff members by 50 cents per hour across the board, and on top of that, we will also have the Christmas bonus and things like that. So those are the big changes for the budget for this coming school year. I encourage you to look at those more carefully. Let me know if you have any questions about those things. We are adding 2 classes this year, an additional morning 5s class, as well as another afternoon 3s class. Our classes are pretty full. I think we might have 1 spot left in a 3-year-old or a 2-year-old class right now. So that's really looking good. I really appreciate your prayers as we get close to starting this school year. I've definitely been praying just for my staff members and for the families and for the children. We just want to have a great year. We want to fulfill our purpose, sharing the love of Jesus and the love of learning with these children in a safe environment where we can support their families and being able to help cultivate a lifelong love of learning. Again, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for partnering with me and being a member of this little school board. I know we don't get together very often in person, but I really value each one of you. And I really encourage any feedback from anything I've said today or anything else that you've been thinking of or wondering about what we're doing here at Little School. Stop by, come see me. I'm in here most days now. And of course, as we get going, I'll be in here every day. So I look forward to seeing you guys all in some capacity soon.